Good day, probers.
Howdy, howdy.
Welcome to the comedy podcast known as But It Was Aliens. We use the term comedy loosely, and each week we take it in turns to probe the extraterrestrial, whilst the other generally has no idea what's about to unfold.
We also use the term aliens loosely.
I'm your host this week, Moonwalker, and sitting across from me as always is the grey-bearded rapscallion, Kevin the Grey.
Rapscallion, similar to scallywag. I can get on board with that.
But you can rap.
No, I can't. That's it, what?
Today, we're taking a look at a case that took place in Orlando, Florida. It was the 19th of April, 1989, and at around 11:30 p.m, Roger S., who was 10 years old, woke up in his bed and found that it was surrounded by 4 figures.
Whoa!
Who allegedly, truthfully, had giant black eyes, 2 holes for a nose,
Helpful.
a golden slit for a mouth.
What? Didn't we just cover this?
And all of this was on a heart-shaped head.
Maybe not.
They're described as 5 foot tall, and all of them were staring at him.
Roger! It is mind-blowing that a 10-year-old is called Roger. That's just such an old man's name to me.
It is, isn't it?
It's proper out of fashion these days. You never see anyone young called Roger. Roger.
When did that name kind of phase out? Because he was born in the 70s, so 79.
Indeed.
Roger has no idea how, but the beings removed him from his bed and placed him upon some device which was not unlike a table, but without legs.
Oh no.
It didn't feel plastic,
Oh no.
wooden, stone, or even marble,
Oh no.
but it felt like glass.
Glass speed! Oh no. Oh no.
He laid there, not moving,
No.
and the table began to move towards the window,
Oh, okay.
floating. The window opened and the table floated out and towards an object that looked like 2 saucers inverted.
You showed me this only a couple of weeks ago. It's the same picture of 2 actual saucers as in cup and saucer. 2 saucers inverted.
Deliberately hunted that picture down.
I thought he was going to get something straight in the butt. I'm glad it diverted to inversion.
He's 10 years old. That would have been pretty rough.
I'm not saying in like, how can I say this without getting myself in trouble? It's going to be grim, whatever.
Yeah.
I wasn't suggesting it in a sexual sense.
Oh, I know, but
We've covered, in fact, we've had a listener suggestion for an episode, and I've researched it and written the episode, but I haven't put it on the ready to record list just because it's so graphic, and it does involve someone being experimented on at a very young age. And I don't know how, because we're quite light-hearted and don't really take things seriously on this podcast, and I don't know how to cover that without being offensive, yet maintaining our light-hearted culture. But yeah, you can have experiments done for non-sexual purposes in the butt, I guess is what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's pleasant, but I'm just saying I thought that was where it was going at first glance.
Fair cop. A door at the side of the strange object opened up and the table approached it. And then everything went dark. Next thing he knew, he was still in a room with another strange-looking table next to him. He looked around the room to see what else he was able to see, and he saw that the strange creatures were also there with him. And they began to speak to him, and like in our previous cases, they spoke directly into his mind.
I was really hoping there you were going to go, and they said, blah, 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 blah. Darn it. So we have slit mouths, telepathic talking, sounding very familiar here from a case we covered a whole week ago. Heart head, so that's unusual.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say it's basically like looking at a love heart, but love hearts are actually circular. Oh, no.
What I pictured was like a reptile. Not like a reptile, but like a mantis.
Oh, okay.
Like a mantis.
I was picturing a literal cartoony heart-shaped head. No animal, just...
Oh. I went bug. Bug insect.
Okay. So he's 10 years old, Roger, and he's not scared? Being slabbed and he's not scared?
Not scared so far.
Is he going along with it?
I can't say. And I'm not going to.
Okay.
So he watched as one of the beings moved towards and pushed a button on the nearby table. As he pushed it, a light lit up from underneath the table and illuminated the entire floor.
Ooh.
As the light lit up the floor, he also noticed a large screen hanging in the room.
It's like the video to Billie Jean here.
Under that was a bunch of panels. One of the four beings was paying close attention to those panels.
Moonwalking across them.
And on the big screen, the craft that he'd travelled in appeared. And then he watched as it flew off at great speed, straight into the air.
Oh, okay.
One of the strange creatures asked Roger what he was. And he replied that he was a human boy. Whilst being asked this question, he was being taken to another room. In this room, they were showing him pictures of a friend of his named Nancy.
Oh, come on.
Roger asked them where Nancy was, and they explained that she was on another craft not unlike the one he was on.
You're telling me they don't know what he is, but they know who his friends are? I'm calling bullshit on these aliens. They know exactly what they're doing.
They then
Four fools.
They then said something that confused him.
Billie Jean is not my girl. Or my lover.
She will not be reborn because she has been born too many times.
What? Are we like cats? We only have so many lives? And once we've used them up, we're conked out? Done. It's over.
After that statement, they said no more. Well, everything's energy. So do you reckon we have a set amount in terms of...
I love you how you've thrown that question at me in like a science frame of reference.
Yeah.
So that I don't just bat it away straight away. Everything's energy, so...
When we die, we get reincarnated, but we have a little bit less energy.
But do we, or does that energy become anything?
Or
so that
when...
could become a bit of...
When
well,
we
I
have
suppose it'd
kids,
still be alive, but grass.
we pass a bit of energy on.
Well, that puts me off having kids. I want my energy.
Or when we die, we become the grass. And the antelope eat the grass. It's the circle of life, Kevin.
Yeah. You've asked me a thinker there. Are we going to find out if Roger...
Oh, I thought you were about to say, if when we have kids, we pass on energy and then kind of take away from ourselves.
Does that make you want kids more or less?
Yeah.
I feel like I need my energy. Life is tough.
The way things are going, I'm kind of, as bad as it sounds, glad I don't have that responsibility right now.
What do you mean the way things are going?
Oh, the price of fucking electricity and
gosh, yeah, the cost of
petrol
living
and
crisis.
everything, yeah.
Hmm.
Like, imagine that and like raising a child at the same
Yeah,
time.
sucks to be you, all our parental listeners out there.
I'm gonna go have another beer.
Hopefully prices come down soon. So what I was going to ask is, does Roger know how many times he's been born? Or if not, will we find that out?
I'm gonna save you some time. No and no. No.
So Roger,
Yes.
Roger needs to be suspicious of Nancy.
Oh, no.
What's happening?
I'm just being a twat.
Roger needs to be very suspicious of Nancy.
Why? How do we know he's going to see her again?
They're friends.
She was taken on another ship.
Maybe she's going to her forever life.
What if this is her forever life?
I'm getting quite confused in this case. And you're not giving me any more details. I'm just talking myself into the ground here.
Whilst Roger was continuing to look at the images that were shown on the screen, a device floated down towards him. It was explained to him that this device had taken a sample of skin from him.
From where on him?
He cut his finger and they took it from that injury.
Okay, not the butt then.
No.
What? In the butt.
He was then moved to another part of the craft. During that move, he saw a man sitting on a table which was similar to the one that he was on. This man was approximately around 30 years of age, but this wasn't estimated until later.
Imagine if the man Roger saw was Roger.
Ooh.
These are time-travelling folk who are pulling in the same people from different parts of their life.
And experimenting? Or do you think he was there knowing and asked them to grab him when he was young?
So he could warn himself to not be where he's going to get grabbed next time.
Once they arrived in the other room, Roger was taken over to another panel and told to press any of the buttons that he wanted to. As he did, he noticed that the craft he was in was now entering into a bigger craft. Roger was then told to remove his pajamas and to put on a suit that was given to him.
Ooh.
This suit clung to his body and had strange symbols on it. According to Roger, they resembled hieroglyphics.
You've shown me a picture of the Red Ranger from Power Rangers here.
It was a red suit he was given.
It's a slight stretch. Admittedly, this would cling to Roger's body were he to be wearing the red Power Ranger suit.
Exactly.
But there aren't what I would call hieroglyphics on said suit.
Are you sure? Take a look at the next picture.
Oh, no. Okay. Oh, no. You zoomed in on the chest plate, and there are indeed two symbols duplicated and mirrored on either side of the diamond. I can't verify that they're not hieroglyphics because I don't know hieroglyphics.
He also said they were similar too, not exactly.
You son of a gun. Gosh darn it. Power Rangers are Egyptian. So is this
Roger Ranger?
Is Roger gonna be like Super Roger now?
Who knows?
Well, you know.
Maybe he's what birthed Power Rangers.
Oh yeah. I'm at a loss here. I've got nothing. I have absolutely nothing. We've got a 10-year-old Power Ranger, and if he's not going to be a Power Ranger, I'm going to be very disappointed. If I was this Roger Ranger, I would be targeting Nancy because she's suspicious to me.
She could be the Pink Ranger.
She could be. She might also be... what was the enemy called?
Rita Repulsa.
I was going to say Zorro for some reason.
Zordon was the
one they became, wasn't it?
That helped them.
Yeah.
And you're thinking of the Zord.
Megazord.
That's it.
Yeah. Power Rangers is a very, very long time ago for me.
It's for me, but we know what my memory's like.
Yeah. And my parents didn't like me watching Power Rangers either.
Green Ranger 2.
They thought I was too old for Power Rangers and I was like 10. I asked for Power Rangers toys for Christmas one year and they legit said no. You're too old for that shit. I'm not even joking.
I don't think I ever had the toys, but I watched it because I'd have been 8 or 9.
I was in primary school at the time, yeah.
Again, Roger found himself in another room. This one was square. In this room, the walls had screens and buttons along them, and the entities went over to them and started pressing them.
Entities.
On one of the screens was an image of Roger asleep in his bed. This wasn't a still image. It appeared as if it was live. As within the image, Roger's dad entered the room to check on his son.
What the frick?
He didn't stare at the screen for too long, as he was moved to another room. These aliens should be called room skippers. Every 5 minutes they're switching rooms. Can't these fuckers keep still for 5 minutes?
Maybe the craft is infested by some of those hands from the Zelda series, where if you stand in the same place too long, they just come down and grab you. So they've got to keep on moving. Gotta move. But Roger was watching himself asleep. So have they taken Roger's consciousness onto the ship? And these aliens, oh God, I'm talking myself into this one. These aliens exist on another dimension that we can't perceive because we can only perceive the dimensions that we can perceive.
I mean, you say you're talking yourself into it. Maybe you're actually just seeing the truth of what's happening right now. Not talking in, just realizing.
But then surely if they had sucked Roger into their extra dimension, his wholeness would have come into the dimension and he wouldn't still be able to see himself. Unless there's a delay on the feed, of course.
Yeah, maybe there's a...
But that's creepy as shit. Imagine being pulled into a craft and you're watching a feed of yourself in bed. It's like, what's that film? Us? Not Us. The other... I can't remember.
Jordan Peele?
Yeah, the one where there's
Us.
like the shadows. That is Us, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, where there's like the shadow us. And you're sat there watching yourself do all this shit, but it's not you and you've got no control.
I got five on it.
That's a really good idea for a film. Someone should make that.
And also slow that track down so it's really creepy at the same time.
Jordan calls me up. He's like, shut up, you dick! I did that!
Also, we need to go and see Nope.
Yeah, absolutely. Completely agree. That's out. Well, it'll be out by the time this episode drops because it comes out either yesterday or today. At point of recording.
Today, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So this room had what looked like a glass box in the middle of it.
Living in a box.
And he was told that he should step inside of it. When he did, a door to the box was closed on him.
Come on, Roger. You're better than that, Roger. It's a trap.
He's 10 years old.
They've told you to get into a box. They're clearly going to close the box on you.
And that's not a picture directly of the box, but similar.
Yeah, and it's got weird writing on it. Nice touch.
The entities outside the box began to press buttons on the wall.
Entities.
And a red laser-like device began to move overhead.
They're cloning him.
He was informed that this device was conducting a brain scan of him.
Ah.
And can you guess where they went next?
His butt.
To another fucking room!
I was so close. That's what I meant. But they're going to another room. That's exactly what I meant.
In this room, there were other creatures inside it. They looked very similar to the ones that had been shifting him from room to room to room to room to room and so on and so forth. But these new ones had a different hue to their skin. It was more orange.
It's like he's being moved for a funhouse.
Whole lot of fun, prizes to be won.
Right, we've got a picture here. Is that the Tango advert? Gosh, from like the mid-90s?
Yep.
You know when you've been tangled. A bright orange person went around slapping people and it started taking off. People started doing it all around the UK and so the advert got banned. I don't know if this advert was on anywhere else or whether it's just a UK thing.
I think it was just a UK thing, but yeah, it definitely got banned.
Yeah.
Someone had their eardrum perforated, I think.
I heard that as well. Do you reckon that really happened or was that...
No, I think it really happened because it was in the news.
To be fair, you don't want to slap someone on the ear. That's not the best place to go. You got to go for the chin.
Yeah, because people weren't obviously hitting people.
Do some real harm if you crack the ear. Yeah.
In the cheeks, like you did in the advert. They were just smacking them in the ears.
You know when you've been tangled. So I've only just connected the dots and now I'm picturing this is what the aliens all look like. Basically, slightly rotund orange aliens, pretty much nude. Pair of pants on, maybe.
I think he had shorts.
Hopping around the place. Wonderful.
And then in the second one, they changed it. And he just goes up and kisses him, doesn't he?
Yeah, yeah.
Out of nowhere. Out of nowhere! So their eyes were a bit blurrier rather than the jet black of the others. And he was told that these were the females of their race.
The female of the species. It's more deadlier than the male.
Than the male.
Shark, shark, hara, hara.
They stayed for a while before turning and leaving the room.
to go into another room.
They waited several moments before
Someone got tangled.
going to another room.
Oh, what a surprise.
This room had multiple glass cages around the walls
He's got a good memory.
and contained different creatures in them. Some were from Earth, and Roger recognized them. And there were some that Roger couldn't explain. These creatures were not of Earth, or if they were, they seemed to be an amalgamation of different animals.
Ah, that's where I was going in my mind. Have they been experimenting on different animals, mixing them together on their ship?
Splicing creatures together.
Indeed, exactly that.
Here's a monkey with 5 butts.
We went for a period early on of referencing South Park all the time, and then we stopped for a long time, and we seem to be slipping back into that habit. What? In the 5 butts. As you were reading this, I came to the realisation that Roger has got a phenomenal memory.
He has,
because he's been in so very many rooms at this point, and he's remembering them all.
Many rooms.
Although I suppose I'm saying that on the account I'm being told he could have been in another 30 rooms and he's forgotten. He's just realising what he can remember.
Just don't know.
We have descriptions of any of the animals out of utter curiosity?
Unfortunately, no, we don't.
Right.
So we don't know what animals were there.
If you're splicing animals together, how do you make the ultimate killing machine? What 2 animals are you combining?
Land or sea?
Any. Ultimate killing machine. What are you going for?
Probably an African elephant
Right.
with an alligator.
And your reasoning being?
Alligators all murk in the water. And they'll be fucking...
But surely it's just going to sink if it's the size of an elephant.
Well, no, because it's going to be able to carry itself, isn't it? I mean, a fucking whale doesn't sink, does it?
That's interesting because whale was one of my 2. my suggestion might be even more outlandish than yours. So I'm going for a blue whale, which I believe to be the current largest animal on the planet.
Yep.
Combined with a daddy longlegs. The most stupid, shitty animal in existence, just flops around, flies in your face repeatedly. The reason it's a killing machine is because it's going to be the size of a whale. So it's just going to squash everything in its path.
Is that a killing machine or just clumsy?
Well, people are dying regardless. That's a killer machine, whether it means to be or not. It might not be intent, but it's killing. Did Roger see one of these?
Does it have little tiny daddy long leg wings?
Oh no, massive. It's got to be able to carry its own weight.
But it's a splice of the 2.
Yeah, it's a splice, but to proportions. It's the size of a plane. Just flies past your house, hits your house, destroys it. Killer machine, like I said. Utter killer machine. There can't be many animals stupider than a daddy longlegs. They're so gangly and stupid. They've got no idea where they're going. They just flop around until someone kills them, don't they? What's even their purpose? Like, flies, bees, wasps all have quite an obvious purpose, though they're annoying to varying degrees. What does a daddy longlegs actually achieve in life other than being a twat?
What if that is its sole reason? To piss people off.
The creator, if you believe in such things, put them on the earth solely to piss people off.
Just go annoy people.
To
That's
keep people sane. Like,
and it
Rimmer
makes
being
him laugh.
put on Red Dwarf to keep Lister sane. And even if you don't believe in a creator, how did such a stupid, pointless thing evolve? Mind-blowing. Anyway, sorry.
I mean, if you believe Ricky Gervais, they have the deadliest poison known to man.
That's an old wives' tale.
Like I said, if you believe.
So many people believe they're poisonous.
But then I suppose if that's the case, then squishing one in your hands
Exactly. And that's where the logic comes in and people suddenly realise.
So Roger was then led back to the small craft which brought him here, but not before walking through another room, led by both the entities and a small red spear. This room had humans in it.
Okay.
These humans
were all Roger.
Were not in cages or glass boxes, nor were they Roger, like the animals were. These animals, These humans were working. Not only were they working, but they had a specific uniform with a logo that Roger was all too familiar with.
Okay, and you've dropped an image here. Let's have a look what it is. Oh! They had the NASA logo. Very interesting. It's quite a distinguishable logo. You see it on shirts sometimes, and you know what it is straight away.
And he grew up in the 80s.
Okay,
NASA
so
was all over the place.
Now I'm thinking, is this future us studying past us? Or have NASA made contact with this species? That's why there's so many of them there, but they're also taking randomers? Or people who are predestined to work for NASA, for example. This is at the point you tell me that Roger works in a takeaway place and he wrote 7 books on this, looking to make some money. Nothing wrong with hard work, by the way.
The work that these people were doing, experimenting on aliens.
They were experimenting.
They
What?
were experimenting on aliens.
You've twisted the tables.
Then Roger
No!
was
Stop!
in another room. His room.
Shut the frick up. He's walked through the door into the next room and it's his own.
Roger's home.
No.
He's home, baby.
This is like that scene in Labyrinth where, is it Sarah, the main character? Wakes up in her room half to 3/4 of the way through the film, thinking that she's back in her own room for a minute, but then she remembers and she starts to pull things apart, and it's actually just been made up to look like her room to get her off the trail. Roger, don't fall for it.
Now,
Honest question before we move on.
Mm-hmm.
When was the last time you watched Labyrinth with David Bowie?
the last time I watched Labyrinth with David Bowie,
Not with him, but with him in it. He was the star, obviously, David Bowie.
been a while.
Last few years or longer?
No, longer.
Can you remember watching it quite well, though?
Mm-hmm.
When watching it, did you, despite your better judgment, find yourself forced to look at his package?
Not when I was watching it, but afterwards when I knew it was a thing, every scene he was in, you can't take your eyes from his package.
They've just made it so overt that your eyes are drawn to it and there's nothing you can do. It can't be an accident.
I was always more of a fan of Dark Crystal than I was Labyrinth.
I liked both.
I like both. Just always preferred Dark Crystal. Still haven't watched the series though.
I have, actually. It was surprisingly good. I was worried it wouldn't really hold up, but no, I watched it all. Not saying it's the best thing ever, but it definitely kept my interest
One
on the
day.
upper side of the scale.
One day I'll get around to watching it.
Memories.
Now, this is the part of the probe where Greybeard gets pissy. Otherwise known as science and skepticism. There is not any scientific evidence provided in this case. And there is no skepticism either.
There is.
But that just means that I was unable to find anything that shows any ufologist has taken this case serious enough to investigate.
That word.
I could literally find nothing. Or, another way to look at this is that they are fully aware of it and do not wish to incur the wrath of NASA and end up slabbed and examined. So, Greybeard, if there's any skepticism you'd like to get out of your system before I move on to the summary.
Well, if you're going to push me, we've got zero evidence.
I mean, I'm not pushing you at all.
I mean, if you're going to lie me up right on the edge of the cliff and give me a little prod off, I mean, there's literally zero evidence, but it's only a minor, tiny issue.
At no point would I ever prod you off.
I mean, if you're going to whack me over the head with a saucepan, take all my clothes off, stand me at the edge of a mountain, and then give me a little poke off the edge, I mean, there isn't any evidence.
I mean, that I might do.
No skepticism whatsoever.
Okay.
I'm interested to hear theories, but we'll summarise first, I assume.
So here we have the case of Roger S.
Roger.
A 10-year-old boy that was abducted by creatures that had surrounded his bed.
Saw entities everywhere.
They placed him on a glass slab and transported him out of his window and into their waiting craft. He was moved from room to room before being shown pictures of his friend Nancy and being told that she wouldn't be reincarnated again because she'd been reincarnated too many times. Again, moved from room to room, each room slightly different than the last, screens and buttons on walls, glass box in the middle of the room, which Roger was told to step into. As he did, he had his brain scanned. Before this, they took a skin sample from him too.
Cloned him.
The next room led to a zoo-like experience with animals in cages along the wall of the room. Some he knew, others he didn't, and the final room in which he saw NASA personnel experimenting on aliens before being taken back to his own room. So, balls of the grey, what do you say? Is this an alien encounter?
I can't work out whether this is a case of aliens being behind it all, or whether NASA are behind it all, experimenting on and in control of the aliens. Like, have the aliens given some what they consider to be lesser aliens to NASA to let them experiment under their watch to see what they do, to learn more about humans?
Maybe it's a species that they don't get on with. They're at war with. And the humans are like, we'll help you if you allow us to examine this species. You know humans, they'll examine them, hoping to get a leg up so they can overthrow the ones that are helping them. Because, humans.
Yeah, I don't disagree. But I'm also not saying that it was aliens.
Come again.
I said I am not saying that it was...
It was aliens!
You're going for it.
I mean, I don't agree with you, but...
you're not going
You can
for
say
it.
it's aliens if you want.
So what are you saying exactly?
This is a fucking dream, isn't it?
But even if it's a dream, I still want to know the meaning behind the dream. Like,
I mean,
is it NASA? Is it aliens? Is it... I don't know.
It wouldn't surprise me if he's had a week of watching films, news, anything like that. 10-year-old boys are quite interested in space at that period of time. Alien
the late
films,
80s, wasn't it? 89?
Yeah. Alien films were quite large at that time.
Yeah.
I think
Would have seen
Alien
Flight of the Navigator, E.T., Alien.
Exactly.
Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
So it wouldn't surprise me if he's just read too many books, watched TV, films, everything like that, and he's just had a dream.
Yeah, there are elements of that in the case as well, and there are a few films.
And
like all the animals on Flight of the Navigator.
There's also the point where he mentions that he sees himself on the monitor and his dad comes in to check while he's asleep. What parent goes in to check their 10-year-old?
Yeah, that didn't even occur to me. That's a little bit unusual.
If they're a child, like if they're...
Unless he was making some unusual sounds.
2 or 3, fair enough. But,
Roger, what are you doing in there?
But other than that, why would you walk in to check on your 10-year-old? It just makes no sense.
Yeah.
There was another bit that I wouldn't say annoyed me, but I thought was quite questionable. Oh, you already came onto it. The fact that he was able to remember so much, and he's
very
10.
vivid account for a 10-year-old.
Don't get me wrong, there are some fucking clever 10-year-olds out there.
I was a clever 10-year-old, but I can't remember that sort of shit.
That's a lot to remember.
A lot about one occurrence.
And then there was nothing in the case to... There was nothing in the case to suggest that as he was older, he had regression therapy.
Yeah.
But if he did, then we know exactly what regression therapy is like. These could have been implanted in his head, or just an amalgamation of things that he'd thought of.
I mean, there was nothing really in here in general about what happened to this Roger as he got older.
Nope.
Like, where did he go?
What happened to
Who did he tell
Nancy?
this case to?
Yeah, there's nothing after that. Literally just gets back in his room.
It's a cold case.
So
We've basically shit all over this one. High five.
he shit the bed. It's a dream. So thank you for joining us for this week's probe. As always, you can find us on Facebook at But It Was Aliens. Our Facebook group is Extraterrestrial Towers. We're on Instagram at But It Was Aliens Podcast. We're also on the Twitter at But It Was Aliens. And on Patreon.com, where you can find bonus episodes covering things outside the extraterrestrial. Like Rasputin's dick. Rasputin's junk.
Yeah.
Rasputin's prick. And Rasputin's Johnson.
Johnson. The most honourable part of Rasputin.
As always, probers, remember, hashtag
everything. Wah, wah, wah.